In this episode of CityBilly Adventures, I'm going to show you how we built this shooting range in our backyard. Stay tuned. So I've been working on this range pretty much since the day we moved in here 6 years ago. We're lucky that the property is naturally set up for shooting. The back of our house slopes down to the lake and then back uphill into the woods. One of the most important parts of building a gun range is having a proper backstop, and this hill is ideal. This little clearing is a perfect spot to build the range. I started out by throwing ropes over tree limbs to hang these gong-style targets. It was a decent start, but I had much bigger ideas. The two biggest obstacles at this point were traversing this creek to access the range and clearing all the brush. We didn't have the money to put in a culvert right away, but I did have $100 to rent a brush hog, and I was full of gumption. So I waited until the hottest day of the summer and about gave myself heat stroke attacking the blackberry thorns, poison ivy vines, and tree saplings that covered the back of the dam. Once that was done, I had to figure out how to get the brush hog down this 5-foot drop and back up into the clearing. Who would have thought the most dangerous part of a gun video doesn't have anything to do with guns? These are the little folding ramps that I use to get the brush hog in and out of my truck bed. It's basically the same concept, right? I'm sure there's better, safer ways to do it, but I got it up there. Same deal on the range side. By this point, I was starting to get really worn down and should definitely have taken a break. But I was paying for this machine by the hour, and I wasn't about to quit early.
It does.
All I had left to clear now were these random small trees, but that would have to wait for another day. I was up against the rental clock, and I quit sweating hours ago, so it was definitely time to stop for the day. Just gotta get this stupid thing back up the dam, which turns out is a little steeper in this direction, and gravity was no longer my friend. I guess it'll just live down here forever. Maybe I'll have better luck in a different spot.
It's that easy.
A few days later, Mrs. CityBilly and I grabbed a chainsaw and spent a romantic afternoon cutting down the bigger brush and small trees that were too big for the brush hog. And finally, I cut down this big walnut branch that was overhanging the range. I said cut down this big branch. Now that overgrown clearing was a blank canvas for me to turn into a shooting gallery. The following year, we finally added a culvert in the creek so we could access the woods and the range. Alright, now let's talk targets. Besides a couple fun exceptions, all the targets on the range are made by shootsteel.com. This is all 3/8 inch AR 500 steel. I originally started with one silhouette, and I've been slowly adding more targets over the years.
You're my #1 customer.
There's a bunch of places that you can get steel targets online, but I've been consistently happy with the stuff I've got from shootsteel.com. I reached out to see if they wanted to sponsor this video.
He said no.
He said no.
I don't blame them. But they did send me this hat. So my main criteria for this range was I wanted it to be permanent, with nothing that required me coming out here and setting up. So that means no paper targets, all steel. I do have some cardboard stands that I can bring out if I want to sight in a gun, but the majority of the time we're shooting guns that are already dialed in. There's all kinds of cool steel targets out there, but keeping with the idea of not having any setup, I didn't want anything that I had to come out and manually reset either. Targets like the Texas Star come to mind. It's a really cool target, but I don't want to have to walk out and put it back together every time someone shoots it. That's just me. So for this range, I'm focusing on static hangers, gongs, and poppers. We've also got some cool pistol targets that I'll get into later. These are static hangers. You can get a variety of targets that attach to a hanger with a carriage bolt, and the hangers can be mounted to the top of a 2x4 or a metal T-post. For our range, we use 2x4s. These targets use a heavy-duty spring to help absorb the impact and give a nice... We also bought these speed rack hangers that are designed to be mounted side by side on a 2x4. Initially, I set up 2 identical speed racks, but over time I realized that we rarely ever had 2 people shooting this at the same time. So I took that apart and repurposed it into a gong hanger. These brackets slide onto a 2x4 and allow you to mount gong targets using metal chain. Then I set up 2 modified speed racks at different distances on the range. And finally, I added 2 of these popper targets. They give you some visual feedback, but also automatically reset. All these targets are designed for pistol or rifle shooting, but remember to use frangible ammo if you're shooting rifle rounds this close. Over here, we have some competition targets for pistols. This particular dueling tree is made by Challenge Targets. The idea is 2 shooters compete to try to get all the targets onto the other side of the post. Shooting multiple targets under the small amount of stress that comes with competition is super fun and great training. And over here is the spinner made by MGM Targets. This is designed for a single shooter, and the goal here is to make the target flip completely over. Timing and accuracy come into play here, as you have to hit your target as the momentum is going away from you. A miss or a poorly timed shot stops the momentum. It seems pretty straightforward, but this target is a challenge for a lot of shooters.
Oh! Almost had it.
So here's the final setup. On the far left are 2 22-inch popper targets. In addition to the audio confirmation, these targets wobble back and forth when hit. Next, we have some hanging gongs. A pair of 12 by 18 inch silhouettes flanking 6 and 2.5 inch circles. In the back is one of the updated speed racks. This has 6, 8, 10, and 12 inch circle targets. In the middle is our largest and easiest target to hit, an 18 by 30 inch silhouette. This target takes by far the most abuse, but it's remained in great shape. 2 more 12 by 20 silhouettes, 2 8-inch circles, and the other speed rack finish off the range. Standing on the dam is give or take about 40 yards to the targets, and we can shoot from our back deck, which is about 150 yards. I think we've got a pretty good combination of target sizes at various distances, with room for expansion. One of the last things left to do is to apply something to kill all the poison ivy growing in the grass.
I'm sitting in it? Yeah, perfect.
And with that much coverage, you're going to need another shot.
So that'll do it for this range build. Special thanks to our friends from Nerve for letting us use their music. One of the biggest criticisms we get on our videos is that the stock music sucks, and I don't disagree. But using copyrighted music is just way too expensive for a channel our size. The guys from Nerve threw us a huge bone, and you're going to be hearing more of their music in future videos. And if that's not good enough for you, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like the band Nerve,
Then you.
we're planning on pumping out more firearms content in the near future. But remember, we're still a DIY channel, so check out some of the other projects we've been working on. Thanks for watching.